And then keep it going for Bryan Kett. Bryan Kett.
Hi. I love my little neighborhood grocery store, but it has the worst parking lot in North America. It's like no matter what you do, you're always driving the wrong way. And to help with this, the managers hired a parking lot attendant named Avi. And Avi's a very nice man. He always wore these gigantic sunglasses. And a few years ago, I went shopping when it was over 100 degrees outside, and Avi was there. He was directing traffic, and he was sweating profusely and really just looking miserable. And I decided that I wanted to do something nice. So when I was in the store, I bought him a bottle of water for like 50 cents. And when I gave it to him, he was so happy and thankful. And I drove home that day really impressed with how amazing I was. And the next time I went shopping, Avi remembered me. And even though it wasn't nearly as hot out, he asked me for another bottle of water. And I was a little taken aback, but I said, yeah, one water coming up. And that was a mistake, because from then on, every time I went shopping, Avi would ask me for a water, and I didn't want to say no and make things weird, so I would buy Avi the water, and eventually I just accepted the fact that I was now the water guy. And this went on for a few months until one day I was walking into the store, and Avi reached out and he touched my arm. He said, "No more water." And I thought, great, I'm done. But then he finished his sentence and he said, "Instead, carrot juice." And this was an issue, okay? Because the juices, they were fortified with like antioxidants or something, okay? Juice is insane these days. It costs like $5 a bottle. The man was taking advantage of my generosity. And I was really upset, which is also why I was really confused when I heard myself say, yeah, one carrot juice coming up. And so I bought him his stupid juice, and he thanked me. But as I drove home that day, I vowed that while I had made peace with being the water guy, there was no way I was going to let myself become the juice guy. Wasn't happening. And friends would say, "Bryan, why don't you just, buy your groceries somewhere else?" And it's like, how is that fair? He's the one being ridiculous. Why should I change? So instead, I started doing the mature thing, and I began just trying to avoid Avi. I started shopping early in the morning and late at night, and it was really inconvenient for me, but it didn't make any difference because he was always there. And he would always ask me for a juice, and I would always feel obligated to buy him the juice. And each time I put that juice in my cart, it felt like I was giving up a piece of my dignity. And this went on every single week for 2 years. I know. Until one day I sat down and I calculated that being the juice guy had cost me about $500, which is a lot for me. And I was livid, okay? Not just with Avi, but with myself for letting things go on this long and spiral out of control. It was time to do something about it. And so the next time I went shopping, it was really hot outside, like burn yourself on the seatbelt buckle of your car, kind of hot outside. And Avi was there, he's in the lot, he was just drenched in sweat. And I walked past him and he opened his mouth to ask me for a juice, but I cut him off. I didn't even let him speak. And I had this thing prepared in my head and I just said, "Hot one today, huh?" Which, isn't that cool? When I walked inside and when I pushed my cart past that juice section, I felt alive. This surge of triumph ran through me, but that victory was really short-lived because as I shopped, every person in that store reminded me of Avi, and I kept trying to ignore it. It was like every other customer was drinking a bottle of water. And I told myself, no, they're not doing that because it's unbearably hot outside. They're doing that because they probably just exercised. And even though we were in this air-conditioned building, all of the employees were sweating through their aprons. I told myself, oh no, and that's just because that fabric isn't very breathable. But when I rounded the corner and saw all these parents and their kids camped out in the frozen foods aisle, just trying to cool off, all I could think about was Avi out there in the sun, sweating behind his gigantic sunglasses. And my heart broke a little because this wasn't about me. It had never been. This was about Avi. And the guy worked tirelessly. He was always there, and he worked in the worst parking lot in North America. And I was about to take away a small bit of comfort that he had. And in that moment, I knew not what I had to do, but what I truly wanted to do. And when I put that juice in my cart, it didn't feel like I was giving up a piece of my dignity. It felt like I was gaining it back. Because I wasn't acting out of obligation anymore. I was making a distinct choice, and it felt good. And when I gave Avi that juice, he was so happy, and that felt great. And since then, I have bought Avi many more juices. And I know that when I go grocery shopping next weekend, Avi's gonna be there. And Avi's gonna ask me for a juice. And I am gonna be more than happy to buy Avi that juice because I stand before all of you here tonight, proud to say that I am the juice guy. Thanks.